Hello, and welcome to the second podcast of the day for your Seattle Seahawks. This is Brian Nemhauser on Real Hawk Talk. This is an emergency podcast, a podcast we did not expect. And yet here we are. The Seattle Seahawks are going to the playoffs. Geno Smith is going to the playoffs. Pete Carroll and this team and this rookie class is going to the playoffs. Tariq Woolen, Quandre Diggs, Tanner Muse, for God's sakes, is going to the playoffs thanks to the Detroit Lions pulling off a absolutely awesome and fun upset of the Green Bay Packers, who we will talk about. But God, they did not only did they lose, but they lost in a pretty ugly way. And wow, let me welcome in the fellas right away, especially for Jeff Simmons, who is up at all hours of the night. Jeff, at Real Jeff Simmons on Twitter. Dude, what the hell just happened?
I got my Honolulu blue on. I found the only color I can find. That's the Lions. I still can't believe what I watched. When the Lions got that pick and they called the hands to the face penalty, and me and you both tweeted the fixes at the exact same time, I didn't think there was a chance they'd win that game. And man, I'm at a loss for words. Like, I can't believe the Lions with nothing to play for. It just made Aaron Rodgers walk out the field with tears in his eye. I can't believe the schedule just came out.
Oh, what do we got?
So the first game of the playoffs is Seahawks 49ers, Saturday at 1:30 Pacific time.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to bring it over to Nathan. We'll come back to you, Jeff. Nathan, at Nathan E11, although he's not really on Twitter anymore. You can find him on the Real Hawk Talk Slack channel if you join at patreon.com/hawkblogger. It feels like ages ago, Nathan, we were talking about, do we really want them to make the playoffs? Do we want them to play the 49ers? And you made the point, they'll probably lose, but there's a little bit of hope that they could end the 49ers season. And isn't that worth it? How was your 55th Christmas dinner, by the way?
Oh my God. Let's get past that. In the immortal words of Kevin Garnett, anything is possible. Even the fucking Seahawks with Geno Smith can make the playoffs, and Cody Barton is starting middle linebacker. Let's
go. Oh my God. Did you watch the game? Did you get a chance to see the game?
No, I didn't.
Oh my God, Nathan. So Jeff, my takeaway from that, like, the Lions were the better team the whole game. There was a couple times that the Packers were ahead, but like the Lions were, I mean, they beat the Packers in both games this season. There were multiple interceptions that I think got called back. There were some tough plays that went against the Lions. They had a play early, like right near the goal line, they didn't get in. So
let's go.
I mean, wow. Like, I have a question on Twitter right now. I want to hear both of your perspective. Bills Mafia has made a name for themselves by donating to the charity of an opposing team's like player or something to thank them for getting you in the playoffs or doing something great. I feel like we need to, as Seahawks fans, do that here. Donate to the charity of some Lions. I don't know, Jamal Williams, Kirby Joseph, Dan Campbell. Who is the guy that you want Seahawks fans, if you could pick one, that we should be donating to their charity?
It's got to be Dan Campbell, but Jamal Williams is a close second. This game meant a lot to him. He was a former Packer. He played there a long time. There's a speech that went viral about like the speech he gave his team early in the year when they were down. I think it was last year. But man, Dan Campbell getting that team to play when they had nothing to play for. Everyone laughed at like that opening press conference he had with the kneecaps, but that's kind of the culture that they've set there. They're tough and they're fun and they're ascending. And the fact that he can just get those guys to care about that game, they were eliminated. I remember what you said a couple of years ago when the Bills like ended this long 20-year playoff drought, and because of Andy Dalton, they all donated to Andy Dalton. So, hell, Jamal Williams, Jared Goff, I'll take it. I think it's got to be Dan Campbell though.
Man, he had like a Ditka look tonight. Nate, you're about to answer too. I want to hear. You didn't really watch the game, but do you have a perspective on who they should donate to?
I do love Dan Campbell. He is one of the more lovable football dudes in the sport. I think. I love Amon-Ra St. Brown just as a player. I don't. Did he replicate the Doug Baldwin playoff catch? Did he replicate the? Are we talking about the Vikings? Is that the one we're talking about? I don't know which. Again, I didn't watch it, so I don't know. But I think go ahead.
He basically on the final drive, they threw a ball to him and he caught it, dropped it, trapped it between his legs, rolled around.
This is Jermaine Kearse stolen valor.
And ended up holding
on
onto it. So
that was Jermaine Kearse. That was Jermaine Kearse Super Bowl catch, right? That should have won them the game if Russ wasn't a bonehead.
Yeah. It was. I mean, I think Doug had a similar catch as well, if I remember, like this type of catch. But yeah, I mean, that's a fair one.
I don't know what this is, but we're gonna put it on the show here. I would say I don't know if Quandre Diggs has a charity or a charitable cause, but as a former Lion, that is also an option.
That I love that. Quandre actually offered supposedly that he was going to send his Detroit buddies on vacations. He was going to pay for their vacations if they won this game. I wonder if he's going to be asked to come through on that deal. Wow, I had so much fun watching that game. Like, it's so funny in a lot of these games. It's like they're right at the beginning, you kind of know what you're going to get. And this game, like right from the beginning, I was like, this isn't going easily for the Packers. They're not running away with this. And Detroit just hung around. I did not mention Jared Goff, Jeff, because like I just can't. But the dude, like, he did it. I mean, what about that pass? That set up, I thought that was a touchdown. They called him down the 1 yard line. Then Jamal Williams went in when he basically rolled out and then threw it across the field, like for like 50 yards or something, 43 yards, I think it was. What do you think about Jared Goff's game tonight?
He made some key plays, like that one you mentioned, the play at the end, 4th down, they throw the ball. And Goff's numbers outside, even this year, have been horrific. And this is one of the hardest places to play at an outdoor stadium. I heard KJ Wright say like it's a place he's never won a game there or something like that, or I don't know. But Goff was pretty good. Like he didn't throw an interception. He moved the ball pretty consistently. He didn't turn the ball over. And like if you look at all their losses, almost every one of their losses is out when Jared Goff has to leave the stadium, go outside, and he did his job. He managed the game. He kept them out of trouble. And it's funny, we talk about all the things we want the Seahawks to be, and the Lions have a lot of those things. They have a really good emerging offensive line. They're tough. I heard you say on the show with Nathan, you don't want to be a soft, weak team. The Lions don't quite have the skill yet, but they're kind of what we want our team to sort of look like. So it was really fun to root for them because they are basically a lot of things that I heard you say it before. They have a lot of those qualities. And winning Lambeau in that kind of game is unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I'm really, really happy for Lions fans. They have gone through hell. Like we've complained about like the Pete Carroll era, like losing in the playoffs too often. They would trade like body parts to lose in the playoffs. Like, and not only that, but they just haven't had like teams that were that fun. They were pretty predictable and boring, but like, this is a fun team. Jamal Williams is fun. DeAndre Swift is fun. Amon-Ra St. Brown's fun. I think Hutchinson's fun. I think Joseph's like. I think it's just Dan Campbell's certainly fun. I loved watching it. Is Aaron Glenn is their defensive coordinator? I think he was like going nuts on the sideline. Like it's just a fun team. Like I'm happy. I'm really happy the Seahawks are going. Part of me wishes the Lions could go. Like I would just like to keep watching the Lions play. That was fun. Nathan, you were following in Trey Cole, our production assistant's, I guess, his wake when he said the playoffs were possible for this team, and you kind of got on that bandwagon. So kudos to you, my friend, for essentially picking the Seahawks to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I did. I will say Trey was definitely there before me, so credit to him. And Griff Sturgeon of the Seattle Overload podcast at CMAX Spin Move. We've had him on this podcast for some draft stuff. Always amazing stuff. He has been saying for a long time that this defense can be good, that Geno can be good. And I don't think if it wasn't for him and it wasn't for Trey that I would have been on that bandwagon. So credit to those dudes. But yes, I was right all along. So
I want to bring a quick bit of news. Bob Condata just tweeted out that Seattle making the playoffs means Geno Smith earns a $1 million incentive. So he ended up earning all $3.5 million of incentives, meaning that he earned $7 million for this year, which is nuts. That, like, with all his incentives, he made $7 million as a Pro Bowl quarterback. No matter how shitty some of his plays were today or the past few weeks, he was a Pro Bowl quarterback. He threw for 30 touchdowns against just 11 picks on the year. I don't know. Did he end up? I was going to do my stats after this game, so I don't even know, but I think he ended up with passing for over 70%. No. Oh my God. 69.8.
Nice.
That sucks. Anyway, so
Sure
good
does.
on Geno Smith. Let's
we have Niner fans in the chat here, and I'm gonna rip off another line here. This one from Stephen A. Smith, and let me tell you, we don't care. We don't care. You're supposed to be here. We're not. You'll win. We don't care, but you might lose, and you're gonna worry about that for a fucking week. So enjoy it. Enjoy the sweaty ass crack that you get thinking about the chance that you lose in the first round of the playoffs to the Geno Smith Seahawks. Have fucking fun, Niners fans.
I love saucy Nathan. It's true. I mean, Jeff, talk about house money. I mean, the Seahawks make the playoffs, have the number 5 pick. I mean, why not just blow this shit up this week? Saturday, let it all hang out. Let's see what Kenneth Walker can do in this game. Let's see if DK can actually step up. Like, let's go.
Yeah, we got nothing to lose. We got to play that game like Dan Campbell just did. And they got to, like, not be conservative and not play that game like they did today. And like we've done some of the other Niner games. Let's let it all out. We got nothing to lose. Nathan said exactly right. Like, we're not supposed to be here. Like, pick 5 was supposed to be our pick, and pick 20 was supposed to be Denver's. It flipped. And the Niners have the most talented roster in the league, and nothing would be worse to losing this Shanahan linebacker thing to Tanner Muse and Cody Barton. Like, nothing would be worse for them. It would break their souls. I think there's probably a 1% chance it happens, but I was talking to a buddy who's a Niners fan, and he's worried. They don't like division opponents. And, like, their path to the championship game is probably Seahawks Vikings. It should be pretty easy. And if you can blow that to Geno Smith and this Seahawks defense, oh, my God. This would be one of the best moments in Seahawks history, like you guys said earlier. It would be
can you talk about how the Seahawks defense has solved their problems? And they've been legitimately good for a couple weeks now?
Yes, let's talk about it.
I mean, this team has been, like, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, or Mr. Hyde and whatever it is. One of them is, like, roided out and going nuts, and the other, like, between the defense and the offense, right now the defense is looking good. They need one game. They need one game where the defense and the offense plays well, and that's it. And we've seen it from both sides of the ball. The offense can look great. The defense can look great. We need it for 1 week. That's it. That's all. This is it. It doesn't matter. Everything after that doesn't matter.
Well, you're right. And by the way, it's not like it hasn't shown up against 49ers. I know people we would talk about how real and not real, but here's the 49ers point totals over their last 8 games of the season. 38 against the Cardinals, 33 against the Dolphins, 35 against the Bucks, 37 against the Commanders, 37 against the Raiders, 38 against the Cardinals, 21 against the Seahawks. So, I mean, the 49ers knelt at the 1 yard line in the last matchup, but that was at the very end of that game after it was pretty much decided. The rest of the game, it was relatively like, I never thought the Seahawks were going to win, but the Seahawks were never really out of that game. Like, they should have been out of that game, but they never were. And you can make the argument that the Seahawks should have been closer than they were in that game because they made some pretty bad mistakes. But, like, who knows? If I was in the 49ers position, I would much rather be playing the Packers than playing the Seahawks. Absolutely. And we should talk a little bit about, like, how sweet is it that the Seahawks make it on the back of Aaron Rodgers having his nose fucking rubbed in it. He lost on his home field to the Detroit Lions with the playoffs on the line. And he got owned in this game. He got smacked around. He threw an interception that lost the game. I mean, he threw multiple interceptions that lost the game. Good fucking riddance to you. I hope he retires. I hope he goes whatever. Like, fuck the Packers. Fuck Aaron Rodgers. I am just, that felt good. That felt good to watch that. What do you think's gonna happen with him, Jeff? What's your take on that?
That walk off the field, I don't know if you saw him and Randall Cobb really taking that in. And if you're an Aaron Rodgers hater like I am, seeing him with tears in his eyes walking off the field was one of the greatest visuals I've seen on a football field. I can't stand that fucking guy. It could not happen to a better person to see him. You have to wonder what he's thinking. I'm like, is that it for him? The way him and Cobb are walking off, and apparently Jameson Williams, who was the Lions' first-round pick, asked him for his jersey, and he said, "I'm going to keep this one." Does that mean this is it for him? Like, Rodgers hasn't been good. Like, even during this winning streak, where they won 5 in a row, Rodgers had like 4 touchdowns. Like, you got to wonder, like, the Packers somewhere got to be wondering, like, we got to play this Jordan Love guy. Like, they basically burned his whole rookie contract. They're spending a whole first-round pick on him, and Rodgers into some weird shit off the field. Like, who knows if he even wants to play anymore? But you got to be thinking after he lost the game for them, like, does he want to keep doing this? And that might be his last game. And, man, losing to the Lions at home, I can't eat that up enough. I can't stand Aaron Rodgers. I can't stand the Packers. I'm so happy it was them that blew the thing. It wasn't something else. Oh, man, I'm just –
Well, and, like, the NFL made it as easy as they possibly could on him, right? I mean, they gave them the primetime game. They gave the Lions no reason to play their hardest because the Seahawks had already won. And look, like, they talked about it on the broadcast. Give credit where it's due. Nathan, you mentioned this. You're like, yeah, I mean, Dan Campbell maybe actually it was Derek, I think, said it, but I think you said it as well. You know, Dan Campbell will probably try to get his guys to play hard, but they'll probably make some business decisions. These guys have paychecks on the line. If they're not going to go to the playoffs and they have free agents potentially next year, are they really going to put their bodies in harm's way when really it doesn't mean anything? And they played physical tonight. They played hard. They played inspired. Dan Campbell, in some ways, the Seahawks might have benefited from the Lions being eliminated because they made some play calls. I'm not sure that they make the same play call if their playoffs were on the line for them.
You want to hear something wild?
I do.
Okay. How many times have the Seahawks and the Mariners made the playoffs in the same year?
Oh, I love that question. Okay, let me think for a second because the Mariners have not made the playoffs very often.
Yeah.
The Seahawks did not make maybe 97. That was Dennis Erickson, John Kitna, maybe.
So according to Aditya Sood, this is the first time it has ever happen that the Mariners and the Seahawks make the playoffs in the same year. And it's stretching it a little bit because technically the Seahawks playoffs will be in 2023, and we don't know what the Mariners will do in 2023. But in terms of regular seasons, first time ever.
Oh my God. That's a great one. That's a great one.
Not a bad time to be a Seattle sports fan.
Did either of you, were either of you not sure how you'd feel if this happened? Were either you're like, oh man, I really like, Jeff, you've been especially like, I don't want to go to the playoffs and play the 49ers. Is there any part of yours like, I'm not happy about this?
No, I was feeling that all week, really. But today there was just so many punches to the gut. That 4th and fucking 20 in the Colts-Texans game, and the Chargers game where they were playing their starters and all the draft position gets screwed up. I needed something good to happen. I was just getting punched in the gut all day. That 4th and 20 took me a while to get over. I couldn't even watch that. Couldn't get into the Seahawks game. I was still like shell-shocked from that. So all of my thoughts going into the game was like, I don't want to get my ass kicked by San Francisco. Once the game started and Detroit started looking good, after the day we had where Jason Myers misses the fucking field goal up the bar and like, I was just getting gut punches. We can't score the fucking 1-yard line. I needed something. And all of that sort of went out the window once the Lions were able to do it. And so all those feelings are kind of gone. Like today was so frustrating and so infuriating that I'll take it. We can have these 5 days, and if we're going to get our ass kicked, we still have this. We have our 5 days. It's worth dropping down a couple spots in the draft.
Nathan, I think the big question that has to be answered, are we going to see baseball cap Pete for the playoffs? Oh, you're on mute.
I don't know what to think now. I don't know what to do now. It worked. Baseball cap Pete, as wrong as it was, like viscerally wrong. Like, Grandpa, no, take the hat off. It worked. It worked. They just made the playoffs. So roll it back, Pete. Roll it back. Let's see a baseball cap. I want to see. Trying to think. What can we do to accentuate the base? There's probably some. Just roll back. It's fine. I think we need more baseball cap, Pete. I think it was good.
I mean, I would go for like some sleeveless shirt. Like take the sleeves off a short sleeve shirt. With the maybe put the hat backwards. Might be a good look for Pete.
That would be. I would pay.
Like
I
a
would
little
literally pay money
from The Simpsons look. You know.
I would pay. Oh, you wanted to put a onion on his belt, as was the style of the time.
Yes.
No, I think we need some kind of golf equipment. Can we get him in a golf cart, a motorized golf cart on the sideline, so he can just be zipping up and down?
There's some pretty good like newfangled golf carts that are like motorcycles and like scooters and stuff like that. So I think that would actually be quite funny.
All right, so we need Pete Carroll to lead the team out of the tunnel on a Harley, in a baseball cap, in a windbreaker. Just
okay. I've got to ask you guys, if the Seahawks pull this off, I don't care how likely it is. If the Seahawks pull this off, where does this rank next to beating the 49ers 42-13, like basically taking over the division, like showing that we're the owners in 2012, beating them on their home field during Thanksgiving and eating turkey on their field? And this, I'm going to leave the NFC Championship out because that's just, it's its own class. But of those, assume we win this game, where would it rank among those other two?
I don't know, Jeff, if you have an answer, but I've thought about this a little bit. And I know I have some recency bias on this. I'm a younger fan, but I have a strong opinion about where this ranks in the all-time, where this would rank in the all-time Seahawks victories.
No. I would put. I want to hear Nathan's answer, but I would definitely put it over those two you picked. As good as that. Yeah, like this Niners team is so stacked, and I know those were awesome wins, but like the Seahawks were better than them in that second one, where I know it was pretty embarrassing to like intercept Colin Kaepernick and just embarrass them at their own stadium. And the 42-13 game was like the coming of age of that Seahawks team, but to beat them with Geno Smith and this defense in their Super Bowl window at home, I can't imagine. I can't. I think it's so unlikely, but I can't imagine how much fun that would be. That to just end their season, that they're the best team in the NFC. And frankly, the NFC looks really weak as we get down each week. But I think it would. I can't wait to hear Nathan's answer because for me, this would top those two pretty easily.
I think if you're looking at all-time Seahawk wins, not just against the Niners, just all wins ever. And again, newer fan here, so anything like before 2000, I'm not super aware of, although I don't think there was much to speak of in the 90s at least. I think this would be the fifth best Seahawk win of all times. You have the Super Bowl, and then you have 3 NFC Championship wins, and then I think it would be this one. I think the only other one that I'm aware of that would compete for the top 5 would be Beastquake, the Saints game. And that one was something else. That was a special game too. So if you want to put that one as number 5 and this one at 6, I'm good with that. But I mean, Brian, I know you go back a ways before I do, so I don't know if you have other.
This is true. For me, this goes above Beastquake. It would go above Beastquake because it's your biggest rival and it's on their home field. So the Saints were the defending Super Bowl champion, and that game was iconic. But you know, it was the Saints. I don't think that's a big rivalry for Seattle. But look, this is a game where if you're a 49ers fan, you have to absolutely expect that you're going to win a Super Bowl this year. Like, you've been the best team in football for the past 6-7 weeks, and you can't be thinking that Seahawks are going to put up much of a fight. You can't think that anybody's really going to be put up much of a fight in the NFC. I don't think they're even that worried about going to Philadelphia. I doubt it. So, yeah, I mean, if they went down there and beat that 49ers team, which I saw someone in chat said this is the best 49ers team we've faced. No way. No way. The Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman, Justin Smith 49ers teams with, you know, like they were unbelievable. They were every bit in step with the Seahawks. And that Seahawks team, as Jeff has said, is one of the best rosters that we've seen in decades in the NFL. So this is not that, especially, I mean, like, Purdy's fine, but even Colin Kaepernick at that point was a much more polished and much more dangerous player at the quarterback position. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm curious. Like, we'll talk about this on Wednesday. We don't have to get into deep on it here. I'm wondering who's going to potentially get back and be able to play. Like, is Ryan Neal going to be back or not? Like, I'm curious about all those things. There's guys that kind of got nicked up. But man, I don't know. I don't know if I'd put it as high as you guys would put it. I think those other wins over the 49ers were pretty tasty. No pun intended about the turkey, but yeah, I guess partially because the Seahawks team is just not that good. So it would just be to screw with the 49ers, which is good. Those other games were to screw with the 49ers, just like send them into misery. And it was about the Seahawks being a great team. So those for me, I enjoy those a little bit more. I see from Michael Mathis again in the super chat. Thank you, Michael. One of our more generous patrons. Did anyone hear if there's any injuries coming out of the 49ers game?
I didn't see much of that game.
Yeah, I did not either. All right. I don't want to keep Jeff you too much longer. I'm so excited about this. I don't know why. I can't believe I'm this excited that the Seahawks made the playoffs.
Well, cool stat from Brady Henderson. Only 10 teams in the common draft era, so that's since 1967, have made the playoffs and picked in the top 5 the next year. The last one that did it was 2003, so only 10 teams ever. That's got to be an A+ season for the Seahawks. Like, as shitty as it felt to fall from 3 to 5, to get those two things, like, we look back, like, no one would have believed that's possible. Maybe Nathan.
Yeah.
The endlessly optimistic Nathan Ernst. That's right.
Yeah, it's really bizarre world.
Yeah, that's a great stat. All right, fellas. Anything else you want to cover before we kind of wrap a little bit for the night? I'm happy to keep going, but let me know where you guys are with it.
I hear Odell Beckham's a free agent still, right? I've been off the Twitters for a minute, so I don't know if I'm still up to date on that.
I don't know. He's definitely a free agent. I don't know that everyone was looking at him and didn't sign him, so I think it's pretty good that he's not worth picking up. I did hear. Did someone say that Jadeveon Clowney got cut?
I don't think that's right.
No, they didn't cut him. They sent him home.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought.
He's basically said there's no way he wants to resign there. So they told him not to play.
Well, yeah, I mean, defense has not been our problem the last few weeks. It's offense. And so Seahawks are going to have to figure out some way to get something going against that 49ers team. Certainly going to go back and look at I was at that game and I was having a hard time paying attention because I was so ready for the Seahawks to get beat by 40 points in that game. It is interesting. I mean, Geno threw the ball 44 times in that 49ers game, 238 yards. I thought, what I'm remembering about that game is Kenneth Walker was actually playing reasonably well. And for whatever reason, they kept going away from him. He only had 12 carries for like 47 yards in that game. But I don't know. I think a little bit of running back, tight ends. Let's pull off freaking Lions. Let's just like shock everybody and go in there. And man, talk about emergency pod. That would be amazing. Okay. I think we're going to call it there because we're going to have, that's our second pod of the day. We will have another one Wednesday of this week. We'll have the morning after column coming up tomorrow morning on the blog at hawkblogger.com. I will probably do some Hawk Blogger stats after this for a little bit on Twitter, so you can find those there. If you haven't already, please give the show a like. Go over to patreon.com/hawkblogger, sign up right now, get immediate access to the Slack channel, which I am sure is hopping at the moment and will be all week heading through the playoffs and into the off season. So head over there right now. And as you know, all proceeds go to charity. Also going to try to rally and figure out where we're going to direct Seahawk fan charity for the Lions, because we got to get something going. We got to be a fan base that people know that does this kind of thing. So head to Twitter and over to patreon.com/hawkblogger and we will organize there. This is Brian Nemmeyer at Blogger on Twitter. I want to thank Nathan Ernst for jumping on the second time today at NathanE11 on Twitter, and Jeff Simmons, real Jeff Simmons, for staying up into tomorrow over on the East Coast. And man, the 2022 Seahawks are playoff contenders. They are not playoff contenders. They are playoff entrants. They have made it to the playoffs.
You didn't need to qualify that. That's fine. You don't. They're still contenders in the playoffs.
Is that right? I don't know if that was the right phrasing. Thank you. I appreciate that. I now know that. But they're going to get to face our most hated rival, and it's tough to beat a team 3 times in a row. Maybe not as tough when you're that much better than they are, but it's still tough in the division. So let's see if the Seahawks can figure out something. Pete Carroll has historically owned Kyle Shanahan. So let's see. Maybe something comes together and Seahawks shock the world once again. Until then, we will see you. And thanks everyone for donating and being part of the community. Take care. Go Hawks.